POV, you bought a starter home in 2017 and locked in your interest rate at 2%. Now it's 2024 and interest rates are 8%. This is your forever home now. You turn to TikTok, you basically bulldoze the whole house because it makes more sense than ever moving. Your dreams are over, but you have granite. Party in the USA. Hey guys, today we are in Willow Creek with my Sims Vera and Ethan to renovate their starter home. They're a young couple who just found out they're expecting, and like most new parents, we are going to go absolutely broke trying to prepare for the baby. We've been watching a lot of TikTok, so we are placing an Amazon Prime order, we're renovating the house, cleaning our baseboards, and boiling bottles, unboxing the most unnecessary products influencers can sell us, and other first-time parents. I chose to move Sims in here so that we can have a typical budget so that your Sims can play in this house right after they leave the cast assembly line. I'm going to set my budget for today at 20,000 simoleons. I'm not going to be using any custom content, but I do have multiple packs. Let me know in the comments if you'd be interested in only base game renovations or builds. The first thing Vera has done is followed a minimalist on TikTok, so we are going to start by selling everything we own. If it's an item, it must go. Family heirlooms only hold as much meaning as we give them. Screw grandma's good plates, we're overwhelmed, and it's all going in the trash. For this build, I'm going for something that's modern and minimal because I feel like realistically, people who are renovating their house are going to make it look newer. So it's going to be very clean, simple, modern, and for 2 seconds before the baby is born, clutter-free and functional. Then we're going to cling to our beige flag for about 5 minutes before we start making middle-of-the-night Amazon purchases for any product that claims to keep our baby entertained for 2 minutes so we can pee or sleep through the night. I poke fun at new parents because I myself fell prey to the predatory market of products geared towards new and expecting parents, mainly sleep-deprived parents. I think the most ridiculous thing I bought would be either a diaper rash cream applicator or a bottle warmer and massive bottle set when I was planning to breastfeed. In the middle of the night, I bought one of those Merlin sleep suits before realizing that it wasn't recommended to use them. If there are any parents watching, I'm interested to know, is it just me or was there anything you purchased that was both unnecessary and expensive? Let me know down below. I knew I wanted to make an outdoor space for the new baby. I know it's not a toddler or a child, so we don't need to go ham with like a swing set or monkey bars or anything like that. But I figured that as new parents, they probably would want like a fenced-in backyard area. And as far as the scenario, like not being able to move because they want to keep their interest rate, probably something that they would do to love their current home is to create a nice outdoor space and update the exterior to their taste. So I'm swapping out windows and things, and you know, I don't know how realistic that is like in real life, but in the sim world, I just wanted to give the exterior a facelift. And honestly, if I had locked in at 2% years ago, I probably would do anything to stay where I was at. So I think making significant structural changes is actually not that far-fetched. For landscaping, I'm actually going into the debug and live edit object menu. I just want to keep the cost down, and I feel like I wouldn't be able to do the landscaping that I want if I didn't use the stuff that's free in debug, so this is kind of a way that I'm able to stay on budget for this build, because like I had said in the beginning, I do want your Sims to be able to play in this house like right out of CAS. So I'm just kind of trying to be conscientious of the landscaping budget, and I figured that would be an easy place to make changes. And I have made some rooms smaller so that I can make up for some of the things I'm doing outside, like the patio space and the backyard. I'm sure some of you have actually played in this starter home before, and if you have, you know that the back bedroom is actually just an obnoxious size, like just completely uncalled for, has no business being that huge and that sparse, and eating like half the square footage of the house just to have a bed. So I figured I would just kind of reprioritize the space, because I feel like in real life, if you had that big of a master bedroom, you would probably consider turning it into 2 bedrooms. And in fact, there's somebody that I follow on YouTube who's renovating their house, and they actually turned their master bedroom space into 2 bedrooms and a bathroom in the middle. So I was kind of inspired by that, and also the bathroom space is kind of where the old bedroom used to be, but it's smaller. So I just felt like this layout made a lot more sense, so that it would be more functional. You might notice the pictures that I took of them from their wedding in the background. I was kind of thinking there's probably not going to be any artwork budget on this starter home, so I just figured I would take some pictures with the crystal clear camera and then delete it. So that's what I'm going to be using for artwork. And I feel like too, for young couples, having a home that's sparse and, you know, not very eclectic is actually pretty realistic, because I know for myself, my husband and I, we built our house a year ago, and we've been living together for years, and our house is definitely sparse as far as like wall decor and things like that. Like, we're definitely doing it as we go along, picking things up. And I'd like for it to look more cozy and eclectic, but if you've ever been to like Home Goods or even Walmart and tried to buy like commercial art, it can really add up and get really expensive. And, you know, ideally I would rather support like local artists and individuals versus like, you know, somewhere like Home Goods or Walmart. So it's been a slow process, but honestly, as the years have gone by, we've been able to get things that are more like meaningful to us and hang our special pictures and stuff. So I really actually wouldn't change it, because I think rushing to make your home look eclectic is like expensive, and it's a way for accumulating waste. That was definitely off topic. The long story short is that I felt like it actually would make sense if they didn't have like a ton of artwork, seeing that they're just now kind of doing some renovations and stuff. But as you can see, I'm struggling to lay out the kitchen and to make the best use of the space. So I just kind of took my time playing around with it until I found something that made sense and felt right. And I'm actually pretty happy with how it turned out, given the budget and the space and, you know, having the odds stacked against us, because this house before was just, you know, it was great as a cheap starter home for 13,000 simoleons, but I think definitely there was something to be desired, and it had good bones, and we're fixing it up now. So it definitely didn't look lived in at all before we got started. So I'm glad that we can come in here and just make it more homey, make it look like a couple's actually been living here for the last couple of years. And something that I did to kind of separate the space and create more interest is I actually sunk down that lower living space level to kind of give it some separation, but still keeping it open. So, and you know, I know we're not going to fit like a big dining table in here. That became very clear as I was trying to play around with that. But I thought that it would be kind of nice actually to have the table set by the window, just so that they can have breakfast, you know, with all that natural light and looking in the back, because if you actually look out that window, there's that river and stuff behind. So I thought that would be really cute. Picking a scenario that kind of mimics the real estate situation going on in the real world was definitely like a choice. But, you know, in all seriousness, I do feel like it would be really special to grow up in the same house over the years and see how it changes, and to create your perfect space like for your family, and to continue living in the place that you bring home your baby to. So I don't think it's all bad. You know, other people being able to afford a house for the first time at, you know, 8% interest rates is a whole other topic. But, you know, as far as like deciding to stay in the space and to renovate it and make it your own, I actually think that there's something just really special about that. And I know people who upgraded their house and felt really sad leaving, you know, the house behind that they raised their kids in and all of that. So, you know, if you can renovate your space and, you know, change the way the space functions to suit your needs more over the years, I think that's always a good choice. And here I am again being indecisive with windows and paint colors and things. And, you know, I really was trying to decide, like, are they the type of people that would paint their house a certain color? Like, if I'm saying they're like heavily influenced on TikTok and stuff, like, are we gonna have any more color than like one green accent wall? So, I was just kind of trying to play around and stay consistent and also pick something that looks good, because I feel like even in real life, changing up a paint color can make a significant difference to a space. Make it feel cozier, make it feel more open. Like, it can make a large space feel more cozy. It can make a small space feel more open. So, I was just trying to figure out kind of like what works and what's consistent with the narrative. And here I am in debug again, trying to add clutter. And I didn't want to go crazy with the clutter in this particular build, because I felt like I'm going for more of a minimalist kind of vibe, more of, a clean, simple aesthetic, I guess. But I did want to have some clutter, because I feel like if you live in your house at all, it's not going to be like completely stark and, nothing laying around. So I'm just playing around with that and also trying not to blow the budget, because I still have rooms to do, and I am not even close to being done yet. So I just definitely need to be mindful of the budget. So, and there I am spending like $25 on fruit and a paper towel holder. Like, mainstays and great value, where are you at in The Sims? Can we also talk about how minimalism is also sometimes not a choice? Like I was kind of saying earlier, sometimes you just don't really want to go and spend a bunch of money on decor and, other things that make your house feel more cozy, more lived in. Like, you have just more important things to actually buy. So I think that's interesting, because I do see like a lot of, criticism for the way that millennials specifically like style their houses. But I think it's interesting when you keep in mind, that the economy is very different now for the average family. So I guess, minimalism, sometimes it's a choice, but other times it's just kind of like, yeah, I'm just gonna buy what I need. And, and sometimes too, like for myself, I just, I don't want to expose myself as like a complete tree hugger, but I guess I am, and I'm kind of proud of that. So I just don't want to fill landfills with unnecessary overconsumption, I guess. So and the other thing too is some people choose minimalism just because, if they're sensory sensitive, neurologically, it can be a lot of I guess sensory input. I don't know if I'm even using the right words, but it can be really overwhelming just to have like a bunch of stuff, a bunch of clutter, a bunch of things to dust. And I feel like too, now we have, mostly 2-income houses, at least where I'm from. So, there really isn't that one person who's managing all of the household stuff or, so I think too, it also has something to do with, needing to have less to maintain, I guess, if that makes sense. But now I'm just kind of trying to figure out what to do with these 3 photos that I have. Canvases and mixed tiles and all that, they're expensive. It's like, for these big size ones, it's like, $30 a pop. So I feel like it's also, again, realistic, and I keep going towards that, but or mentioning that, but I feel like it is realistic that they would only have like a few from their wedding. I'm sure there will be some newborn photos up there soon, and let me know too in the comments, is there a good mod, like, so that I don't actually have to try and fight for my life taking these pictures of my Sims? If you've ever tried to use like the in-game camera and picture taking functions, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. So now we've moved on to the bathroom, and I'm kind of using the Discover University shower to make like a custom tile shower. I feel like I see those a lot, and they're really increasingly popular. So to do this, I just kind of added a wall and then used a window, and then I used a sledgehammer tool to take the wall out. So now it's just that screen. So, I'm not going too fancy in here just because, again, the budget and trying to be realistic with the situation, but I wanted to keep things modern and, and make it look kind of like what you might see on Pinterest. And I have a bath kind of like this, but on Pinterest, I feel like you see a lot of like tub and walk-in shower combos, so I was just kind of trying to lean into that. So now I'm moving into these bedrooms, and I will say this long, skinny, narrow bedroom I've got going on is a bit much, and I also don't have as much money in the budget as I would like, so I'm definitely thinking about how am I going to make this bedroom look a little bit less, horrible, and also get another win, I guess, by making it smaller. So all around, it's actually just a pretty good choice, and I will do it here in a couple of minutes, where I just kind of make it smaller so that it doesn't look all narrow and skinny, and then that does give us more money back to the budget too. So overall, a big win. And I'm trying to keep an eye on my lot value here. You can see we're at like 18,000, so I believe Sims start with like 22,000 simoleons. So overall, you would still have money left to play with. I guess if I'm thinking about making over this whole save file. So, stay tuned for that if you want to see me do that, or if you like these kinds of videos. But if I do that, I will have to be mindful that, like, some people may want more money to start off the bat, so I may have to have, like, a really low budget build, and that could be another video, too, that would be fun. So let me know if you'd be interested in seeing, like, a low budget build and creating a starter house, and seeing like how far we can go with a much smaller budget, because right now we're kind of renovating and adding value to this starter home, but still staying in a reasonable range. But the save file will need those cheaper like starter houses, so that might be a video that we can do another time. So I am adding some clutter into the main bedroom here, but I'm not going crazy with it, because I imagine if Vera is in her nesting era, she's probably saying to Ethan, like, we are minimalists now. We have our lives together. I'm fine. Everything is fine. And you really shouldn't leave like your stuff laying around or your clothes on the floor, because it would really be a shame if our baby grew up without a dad in their life. So, I don't know if every nesting mom is like feeling like they have to have their whole lives together, but I was definitely on the floor dusting my baseboards, because, I wouldn't want my baby to flee in the night because they came home to someone just so incompetent with like dust on their baseboards. I don't know what I was thinking. Like, my baby would come in and be looking around like, wow, like I can't live here in these conditions. But so now I'm adding string lights in this little patio area here. I feel like creating magic on a budget is so important, like, you may not be a sophisticated person who can afford home goods, but you can probably afford Dollar Tree string lights or $30 string lights. It's, when I'm thinking about stuff like this, I'm like, what would be magical for me in my day-to-day life? And sitting on a porch with string lights and talking about life with the love of my life, that was quite the sentence, is just so magical, and like a core memory that I can create for myself for the small price of like $25.99. And now we are moving into this nursery space, and I am finally fixing it after, threatening to fix it that whole time. And I just feel like it looks so much nicer in here. And I think too, like, for different life stages, like if you didn't have an infant living in this house and you weren't playing with this exact family, you could probably fit like bunk beds in here. So that kind of also supports the lore of like, we're trying to make this space work, because interest rates will never be 2% again. So I'm trying to keep a neutral kind of theme, because I feel like that's what I'm seeing on social media for kids' rooms right now, is like that unfinished IKEA crib. But I will say, in The Sims 4, the kids stuff is, it's somehow worse than like Fisher Price in real life. Like, people always are talking about like overstimulating baby toys and crazy colors, and The Sims really takes it to another level where it's like, no one would manufacture this or anything, but I do appreciate the enthusiasm towards childhood. I'm really enjoying renovating base game builds, so I'm thinking about just doing like a whole save file and just kind of renovating all of the base game builds in each world. So how I would do it is I would renovate, the houses that came with the game with only the pack that that you would have if you had that game. So for base game, obviously like Willow Creek, it would just be base game. But if it were like one of the other worlds, it would be base game plus whatever pack that world came in. So, clearly I am struggling with this basket to get it where I want it to go. But I'm definitely learning and growing, but I would love to have you here if you want to follow along with my journey in creating my save file. But for now, let's check out some before and afters. I'm not somebody who has 15 packs, so I'm so happy with how this turned out. Just using debug and the packs that I do have, I have 4 different packs. I think it turned out so simple and just really homey, actually. I mean, for keeping it pretty simple. So, I really do enjoy building from scratch, and I like building, with no budget, and I will do definitely some videos like that on my channel as well, so stay tuned for that. And that'll be part of the save file too, is just new builds from the ground up. But I feel like it's so important in a functional save file to have properties at different price points, and I still want to just add some style to it though, because some of the EA requirements in building that I've heard about is, you can't, you have to keep things simple, playable, and, of course that's how it's going to be. But I am really happy with how this turned out, and I'm excited to kind of give this world, my personal taste. So definitely subscribe if you would like to see more, or if you enjoy hanging out with me and seeing me fumble my way through these builds. As I create my world, though, I would love to give it some lore, so leave me a comment letting me know who I should build a house for next. And also, what build challenges would you want to see on my channel in the future, or what types of base game builds? So thanks for tuning in today, and thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you want to continue to come with me on this journey.